Welcome everyone. Thank you for taking this course Introduction to Hyperledger Fabric Management for System Administrator. This course is brought to you by Coding Bootcamps. In this session, we are going to learn what blockchain technology is and the basics of blockchain. A little bit about myself. My name is Sushma and I have 6+ years of experience. I have played a role of Java developer, web developer, full stack engineer, and a tech lead in my career lane. I have a master degree in computer science and information security, and I also have a master degree certification on blockchain. To take this course, you should have basic knowledge of Linux command, basic knowledge of blockchain technology and how it works, and basic knowledge of Node.js to write smart contracts and the application. This is what you are going to cover in this session, which is introduction to blockchain, what blockchain is, and what are the types of network, what are the components of the network, what are the use cases and examples of blockchain. Before going into what blockchain is, let us understand what do you mean by centralized and decentralized model. So as you can see in the centralized model, which is on the left side of this picture, so one person or one organization is responsible for storing data. If you want to be a part of that system, you should trust the system with the data that you are providing to the system. So, this organization is the source of truth for the data. And as you can see in the right side, which is decentralized model, there is no single source of authority which is holding your data. Every participant in the network can communicate to every other participants in the network, and then it doesn't have to depend on one single organization for their data. So each of the peers can store their own data and they can communicate in the network freely. So here, as you can see, the data is more decentralized when compared to the left hand side where the data is centralized. In the decentralized model, we are not investing our trust on one organization. Instead, we are investing our trust on the network. So, with decentralized model in mind, we can come to a conclusion that that is the first step towards blockchain. So this is where blockchain comes into picture. With blockchain, we move away from trusting only one single authority. Instead, we trust the system. So as we all know, Bitcoin was the first blockchain which got the popularity. So Bitcoin was originally devised for digital currency exchange. So Bitcoin is not blockchain. The underlying technology that Bitcoin uses is blockchain. So after the popularity of Bitcoin, many innovative ideas have come forward which can take advantage of this underlying structure which is blockchain. So who coined this term? A person by name Satoshi Nakamoto. So it's actually a pseudonym. So we don't know whether Satoshi Nakamoto is a person or an organization. So he is the one who thought that he can use the existing systems like digital signature, peer-to-peer networking, and hashing algorithms, and many other existing technologies, and he can build the system which is gonna originally used for Bitcoin blockchain system. So Bitcoin, as we already know, was originally devised for digital currency exchange. So after that, we came to a conclusion that blockchain can be used for other use cases as well. So now let us see the hyperledger.org definition of what blockchain is. As you can see from the slide, a blockchain is a peer-to-peer distributed ledger forged by consensus combined with the system for smart contracts and other assistive technologies. So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by peer-to-peer distributed ledger? That means it doesn't have to deal with a single server. All transactions are distributed in peer to peer. So there is no single server or the single entity that the network has to trust. And what do you mean by consensus? So, what transactional data that has to be stored on the distributed ledger is decided by a process, and that process is called consensus. Now, what do you mean by smart contracts? So, smart contracts are the programs that we place it on the network, and when certain conditions are met, smart contracts will get executed on its own. So, we will learn more about smart contracts moving forward in this session. Next, we are also stating other assistive technology. So, what are other assistive technology? They are digital signature, hashing algorithm, peer-to-peer networking, etc. Now, why the name blockchain? The term block refers to a set of transactions that are bundled together and added to the chain, and every peer has this block added at the same time. That is why it is called block. It has block in it. Next, the block will be appended to the existing block and the process continues and it forms a chain. So that is why it is called blockchain. So there are different types of blockchain network, as you can see from the diagram that we have made here. It is mainly classified into public blockchain, private blockchain, or permissioned or consortium blockchain. So each of these categories has their own implementation. For example, you have in permissionless or public blockchain, you have Bitcoin as an example, and so on and so forth. So the main focus of this session is Hyperledger Fabric. So we will get deep dive into what Hyperledger Fabric in this session. So you can also have a look about all the other types of networks as well. So please go through this slide to understand the difference between the public network, private network, and permissioned or consortium network. So this slide tells you what are the difference between public and private and consortium network in terms of their network type and who can be part of these networks and what are the benefits of these network and what are the challenges that these types of networks are currently facing. Please go through this slide. Now, you may think that all use cases in industry are fit for blockchain, but that is not true. So, in this slide, you can arrive at an answer whether your use case needs blockchain or not. Let us understand this. So, if your application needs a database, so you have to ask yourself a question: does your application need a database? If the answer is no, then you don't need a blockchain. If the answer is yes, and you should ask another question: are there multiple writers? If there is if there is single writer, then you don't need blockchain. And if you have multiple writers and all if the writers can trust somebody, then you don't need blockchain again. If the writers cannot be trusted and so there is no trust between the writers or the data changers of the application, then you have to go for blockchain. If they can trust somebody, then you don't need to go for the blockchain. So this is the slide where you can decide whether your application you can leverage blockchain or not. So there are different components of blockchain. So there are many components. So the main components of the blockchain are listed here. First is consensus, provenance, immutability, finality. So consensus refers to system of ensuring that parties agrees to a certain state of system as true state. Provenance system tracks changes that are made to data, where data originates and moves to, and who makes change over it. Immutability: an immutable object is an object whose state cannot be modified after it is created. Finality is an affirmation that all well-formed blocks will not be revoked once committed to the blockchain. Now, there are many use cases of blockchain. A couple of them are listed here, which are decentralized cryptocurrency, just like Bitcoin, asset management, payment, blockchain IoT, smart appliances, supply chain sensors, and many more. Please go through this link where we are listing 50 plus real world blockchain use cases and the companies which are currently harnessing and using blockchain technology. So that is it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to look into anatomy of blockchain. So please subscribe our private tutoring coaching session if you want to get much more details or in-depth details and personalized tutoring for all this course. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next section.